भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम 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 हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम 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 हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम 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 हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajakaacharya Stotra Chadeshvengre Sabai Charanarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ganga Maiya ki jai, Yamuna Maiya ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tulsi Maharani ki jai, Sameta Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Kaliyuga Padita Pavan Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Sameta Bhaktivinoda ki jai. प्रेम से गौ जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री वासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. कलियुग पावन हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय. सामेत भक्त वृंद की जय. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Dandavat Pranams. Thank you all for joining in for today's session of the study of Srila Prabhupada's book, which is Krishna Consciousness, the Matchless Gift. So we were seeing in our previous session, yesterday we were seeing how everything has to be done for the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yat karoshi yadashnashi yad juhoshi dadasyat yat tapashyasi kaunteya tat kurushva mad arpanam. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, whatever you do, whatever you offer, whatever austerities you perform, yat karoshi, whatever you do, yat ashnashi, whatever you intake, whatever you eat, right? Yat karoshi, yat ashnashi, yat juhoshi, whatever you give away, dadashiyat, yat tapashyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. Yat karoshi is whatever you do. Yat karoshi jahasi, yat dudoshi dasyat, yat tapashyasi kaunteya. Right? That is the topic for today. Yat tapashyasi kaunteya. Whatever tapasya you do, whatever austerities we do, we have to do it for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Tat kurushva mad arpanam. Kuru means referring to Arjuna. Oh Arjuna, do it as an offering to me. Mad arpanam, offer it to me. Right? Some say there haritoshanam. When everything is engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that becomes perfect. Some say there everything becomes perfect when it is employed in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All right, so let's continue reading. We are starting chapter number 4 today of this book, which is learning tapasya or self-control. And we also discussed yesterday that we don't perform tapasya to acquire siddhis, to acquire name, fame, glory, to perform Nirjala Ekadashi, right? So whatever tapasya we do, whatever devotional service we do, it should add to the humility of our heart. It should not add to the weight of our head. That means weight of our head means it should not add to our false ego. It should add to the humility in our heart. The more we practice devotional service, we understand how minuscule we are, right? And then, as well as Radhanath Swami Maharaj says, humility is honesty, right? And we understand that I am so insignificant, I cannot do anything without the blessing of the Lord, without the permission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, without the sanction of the Lord. And automatically I will become humble. There is no need to extraneously try to become humble, right? One cannot become humble and know that one is humble. One of the devotees was saying in a class, right? If you are humble and we think we are humble, that means we are proud that we are humble. Very, very intricate, right? Very subtle concept, right? So we can't be humble and know that we are humble, right? When we When we are actually humble, we realize that we are not humble, right? We need to become more humble. So that is a tricky, that is a trick there, right? When we think we are very humble, oh, I'm very humble. I tolerate all the difficulties that are coming to me. I continue to chant Hare Krishna. In this way, when we think about ourselves, we are adding to our false ego. Very subtle matter. So as and when we read Srila Prabhupada's books more and more, we will try to understand, right? We will try to understand that whatever we may try to do extraneously, it is all adding to our false ego. Oh, I'm giving a very nice class. Oh, I know all these verses in Bhagavad Gita. Oh, I did Nirjala Ekadashi fasting, right? So it should not, whatever tapasya we do, right? We may be doing Bhishma Panchaka, we might be doing Chaturmasya Vrata. All of the vratas, right? They become fulfilling, right? They become successful only when we are performing them in the mode of the servant, of the servant, of the servant, for the exclusive pleasure of Guru and Gauranga. All right. So now we'll request devotees to raise your hands. And then, a couple of devotees have already raised their hands to read this chapter 4, learning tapasya and tapasya. What is tapasya? Tapasya means self-control. That means I don't do what I like. I don't do what my mind tells me. I work according to the basis of the scriptures. I work according to Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. So we'll request Jyotsna Tiwari Mataji, please go ahead, unmute yourself, and you can start learning tapasya, self-control. Hari bol. Jyotsna Tiwari Mataji, please unmute yourself. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Mataji cannot hear you. Okay, now Kishori Mataji, can you unmute yourself?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna, go ahead.
Thank you Mataji. Hare
Krishna. Mataji, just set your audio right and then you can read next. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If one does not come to Krishna consciousness, he may be relieved for the time being from the reactions of sinful activities, but he will again commit transgressions. Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj said, Kvachina nirvatate
bhadra kvachit charati tat punaha prayaschittam atho apartham.
Srimad Bhagavatam 6.1.10. Repetitive sinning and atoning seem to me like nothing but a waste of time. He gave the examples of an elephant which cleans his body thoroughly in a lake or reservoir. But as soon as he comes onto the shore, he takes dust and throws it all over his body and immediately becomes dirty again. Thus Parikshit Maharaj said that although one may cleanse himself in the process of attainment, if he again committed the same sinful acts, what is the use? Therefore, the second question put by Parikshit Maharaj to Sukadeva Goswami is very important. How can one ultimately become free from all contamination brought about by the material modes of nature if one cannot achieve liberation? What is the use of atonement? Mataji, can I carry on or?
Yeah, please go ahead. We discussed this, right? What we discussed is, although by atonement, right, our sinful reactions may be taken away, but still the propensity to commit sin remains. That is why taking up to devotional service is the process to ultimately get cleansed in our heart from the propensity to commit sinful acts. And that is the pathway to liberation. And by liberation here, Mukti hitvayan rita rupam swarupena vyavastitihi. Here Mukti does not, liberation, Mukti, what is mentioned by Prabhupada here, does not refer to impersonal liberation or Brahman realization, right? Mukti hitvanyata rupam swarupena vyavastitihi. That means when we are engaging in the service of the Lord in our constitutional position, swarupena vyavastitihi, being situated in our constitutional position, when we serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead for his pleasure, that is called liberation. That means we are liberated from our sense gratificatory nature. We are liberated from our desire to enjoy our senses, to exploit material nature. And then we move to this platform of seva vritti from bhoga vritti. That is what is mentioned as liberation here. So if all of our atonement does not lead to this point of serving the Lord, without any ulterior motives or without any material cause, without having asked for some material things, then what is the use of such atonement? It's just like an elephant taking bath and then coming back and throwing sand on its body like that. Okay, Mataji, we'll give chance to somebody else. I see many hands up. We'll try Jyotsna Tiwari Mataji. Can you unmute yourself now?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Am I audible now?
Yes, go ahead.
Mataji. In answer, Sukdev Goswami said that merely counteracting karma, fruitative activities by other activities cannot bring one's miseries to a final end. For example, the United Nations is attempting to establish peace in the world, but they cannot stop war. War breaks out again and again. After the First World War, statesmen and I get confused. Diplomats, the League of Nations. Then the Second World War came, and now they have devised the United Nations, but war is still going on. The actual goal is to stop war, but that cannot be done. By one action, war is created, and by another action, war is stopped for the time being. But again, at the next opportunity, there is another war. The cycle of sinful activities and atonement is like that. What we actually want is to be free from suffering and war, but that doesn't happen.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, peace formula. Again, Prabhupada is talking about United Nations trying to establish peace in the world, but there cannot be peace until there is universal brotherhood, right? Bhoktaram Yajnatapasam, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, Suhradam Sarvabhutanam, Nyatwamam Shanti Mrichati. 5.29 Bhagavad Gita. Krishna himself says, what is the peace formula? Right? When I am the beneficiary of all the sacrifices, Bhoktaram Yajnatapasam, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, everybody realizes that I am the controller of all controllers. Suhradam Sarvabhutanam, everybody realizes that I am their supreme friend, I am their supreme well-wisher, I am their supreme benefactor. Nyatwamam Shanti Mrichati. When this knowledge arises in the heart of all the people, then when they understand this universal brotherhood, keeping Lord Krishna in the center of whatever they do, being Krishna, being Aham Bija Pratapita, being Krishna, being the Supreme Father, then only there can be peace in this world. Otherwise, any amount of efforts by United Nations can stop the war for some time, but then again the war will continue because the foundation is not established. The foundation of universal brotherhood, right, is not established like that. All right. So, Navakishori Mataji, go ahead. Shukadeva Goswami said that. Did you read already? Okay, Asharya Mataji, go ahead.
Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much, Mataji. Shukdev Goswami said that one kind of war causes a disturbance and another kind of war stops it for some time. But that is not the ultimate solution to the problem. Shukdev stated that these troubles happen due to the ignorance. Avidvat adhikaritvat. Avidat means lack of knowledge. Avidat adhikaritvat prashchitam vimarshanam. Real atonement is performed in clear knowledge. Why is there fighting and why are there miseries? Unless these 5 questions, which in the Vedas are called the Kena Upanishads, arise in one's mind. One is not fulfilling the proper function of his human life. These questions must arise. Why am I suffering? Where from have I come? What is my constitutional position? Where shall I go after death? Why am I put into the miserable form of life? Why are there birth, death, old age and disease? How can these questions to be solved? Shukdev Goswami says, Mataji, can you read this?
Ashnatah patyam evanam vyadayo bhivavantihi evam nemakrid rajan shanai kshemaya kalpate. Srimad Bhagavatam 6.1.12.
Thank you, Mataji. If one wants to actually stop disease life, he must follow a regulative principle. If a person does not follow the program given by a physician to cure his disease, he cannot be cured. Similarly, if one does not think or act wisely as Vedic knowledge prescribes, how can he stop the problems of the life? Simply by atonement, there may be a temporary suppression of difficulties, but they will arise again. Shukdev Goswami says that in which we realize. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Right. So diet and medicine. Right. Diet is Krishna Prasadam. For us to get out of this disease of material existence, our diet is Krishna Prasadam and our medicine is Aushadhi Maya. Right. Aushadhi Maya nasi baro lagi Say Hari Rama mantra, lao tu mi magi. Right, in that beautiful song, it is mentioned, right, that what is our medicine? Our medicine is the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And what is the diet? Krishna Prasadam. Right. Also, we recite this prayer before chanting. What is it verse? Nivrittatarshairupagiyamanat bhava aushadhat shrotramanobhiramat kauttama shloka gunanuvadat puman virajyeta vina pashugnat. Right, this aushadi, this aushada, right, nivrittatarshairupagiyamanat bhava aushadhat shrotramanobhiramat. Right, this chanting of the Hare Krishna is the medicine. And who will not take this medicine? Nivritta tarsher upagiyamanat bhava aushadachrotra manobhiramat taduttama shloka gunanuvadat puman nirajyeta vina pashugnat. Those who are actually killing and eating animals, or pashugnat, right? Only those people only cannot accept and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Rest all of the people, right, who are human beings, who are in their consciousness, who have taken this human form of life and are having this human consciousness, they will take up this process of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is the medicine. Yenechi aushadhi maya nasibaro lagi Harinama Mahamantra lao tumi magi. So we have not begged for the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. By the mercy of Prabhupada and our Guru, we have already received the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, right? That is why Prabhupada mentions in one of his lectures, Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the most publicized mantra, right? Everybody knows the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, right? But only those who chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra with the proper attitude, right? That I am the servant of the Lord. And what is the meaning of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra? Oh Lord, oh energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, please engage me in your devotional service. Only when a person chants with this attitude of begging for service to the Lord, that person only will realize the ultimate goal of Krishna Prem. Right? The Hare Krishna Mahamantra can give all benedictions, right? One can get money, one can get wealth, one can get name, fame, glory, right? Like I was hearing in another class, right? Where do we get so much of respect, right? As soon as we come into ISKCON, right? We are all respected. Mataji, come here. Mataji, please take your seat. Mataji, please sit here. Prabhu, please come here. Prabhu, thank you for your seva. Prabhu, can you do this, right? Master, mother, right? Where do we get such kind of respect? So we will get everything. We will get respect. We'll get name, fame, glory. But if you don't have the right consciousness, when we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, we will not get our desired goal, which is Krishna Prem. That will always remain elusive. Right? Otherwise, you can keep chanting Hare Krishna for millions of lifetimes, and we may get born in a nice Brahmana family, practicing rituals and all that. But if you want to go back home, back to Godhead, you have to have the consciousness. What is the consciousness being developed? I am the servant of the Supreme Lord. I have to engage in the service of the Supreme Lord for His pleasure. That is the mood. That is the medicine. That medicine. See, when the doctor prescribes a medicine, the doctor prescribes it, how much to take and how to take, right? Sometimes he's mixed it with honey and take. Sometimes, mix it with water and take. Sometimes, take it in the morning, afternoon, and night, like that. So we need to clearly and exactly follow the instructions of the physician, right? If we take, instead of thrice a day, if we take only twice a day, right? We have to chant 16 rounds minimum, but we chant 10 rounds only or 5 rounds only. Or we have to, it's not prescribed that we have to do it in the morning. But, it's best done in the early morning hours. Right? Prabhupada has given so many lectures. Prabhupada emphasizes on the morning program. Right? I was hearing a devotee, I think Gauranga Prabhu was saying, if we manage our time from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m., right? Then the rest of the day we'll be able to manage easily. What do we do from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m.? Sleep at the right time, get up during Brahma Muhurta, chant our rounds, do Mangala Arati, Tulasi Arati, Guru Puja, and then, Narsingha Arati. Okay. And then, we end with Guru Puja, and then we have our breakfast prasadam, right? 9 p.m. to 9 a.m., right? They say that 9 to 3, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. Of course, I don't practice it. I'm just, sharing what I've heard from other devotees. But this is the ideal, right? 9 to 12, the amount of sleep we get is equivalent to 6 hours. 3 hours of sleep is equal to 6 hours. His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu says this. 9 to 12. And 12 to 3, that is another 3 hours. So effectively, you are getting 9 hours of sleep, right? So 6 hours of effective sleep, according to the time zone, 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. When you get up at 3 a.m., cleanse your body, cleanse your external self, and then start the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, 2 hours straight chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Some devotees, I know, recite mantras, memorize the shlokas, everything, because in the early morning, our mind is clear. Wherever we want to focus, our mind stays there. So when we do this, and when we chant some nice prayers in glorification of the Lord, the teachings of Queen Kunti, those such kind of prayers early morning when we chant, like this verse that we chanted, Nivritta Tasya Rupagya Mana. These are glories of the holy name. Prabhupada mentions in one of the purports that by simply chanting these 2 mantras, Srimad Bhagavatam 10.1.4, and the other one is Namashtakam, verse number 1. Right? When we chant these prayers, before we start chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, then we are in the right consciousness, the right frame of mind when we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So all these things aid in our chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, because they help us focus, they help us concentrate, they help us develop the right consciousness as we start chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And from 4 to 6 o'clock, right, we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and then we can do our Mangala Arati, then we do a Narsinga Arati, then we do Tulasi Arati, then we do, we can also do Darshan Arati, right? At home only we can do. And then we can also do Guru Puja. And in this way, we can also hear Bhagavatam, right? We can do that. This morning program, what we do on a Sunday morning, it can be done even at home, right? So when we do this, 9 p.m. to 9 a.m., when we end with Krishna Prasadam, right, then what happens? Then our consciousness is all set for the day, right? Mam Anusmara Yudhyacha, consciousness is already set. That means I am going to do my Swadharma the entire day, but I'm going to be in consciousness of Krishna, like how Krishna told Arjuna, think of me, fight your war. We are all fighting our war, our battle with the material nature every time, because every second we are making a choice, which is determining our destination, whether we are turning right or left, right? Whether we are going towards our destination of Krishna Prema or not. So manage 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. and then we can see, right, by the realizations of these senior devotees, we can also realize, right, how taking to spiritual life and performing our work in Krishna consciousness happens by the mercy of these great devotees, Guru and Gauranga, like that. Okay, let's quickly move forward today. Karpagavalli Mataji, go ahead. We were talking about diet and medicine. What is a medicine? Hare Krishna Mahamantra chanting with proper consciousness. And what is a diet? Krishna Prasadam, honoring only Krishna Prasadam. What goes below my throat? There, the Kanti Mala. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Am I audible, Mataji?
Yeah.
Audible, Mataji. Thank
Yes, you're audible, but let me just complete this statement and then you can start. So I was just saying what was I saying? This medicine is the Aushadhi or the medicine is the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra with proper consciousness to be engaged eternally in the service of their lordships and their devotees. Ahetuki apratihata seva, that is our goal. And what is the diet that we need to follow is honoring only Krishna Prasadam. What goes down the throat, right, has to be below our kanti, should only be Krishna Prasadam. That those two are important things to follow. Yes, Karpagavalli Mataji, go ahead. Shukadeva Goswami says, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Yes, Mataji, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Sukadev Goswami says that in the material or sinful life, we act in a way in which we are forced to commit sins and suffer a result. This is so that if we want to stop this cycle of suffering and victimization, we have to advance in knowledge. Ordinary people or karmis or fugitive actors who work all day and night to get some enjoyable results and then again suffer. Thus, the problems of such karmis are never solved. It is suggested, therefore, that one elevate himself to the platform of knowledge as prescribed in Srimad Bhagavatam. The first necessity is tapasya, or acceptance of austerity. If a doctor advises a diabetic patient not to eat or to starve for some days, although no one likes to starve, the patient must voluntarily accept starvation if he wants to be cured. This is tapasya, voluntary acceptance of miserable condition. The ability to do this is good, and the human life is meant for that purpose. Indeed, Vedic culture prescribes tapasya. One can see many tapasvis undergoing austerities in India. In the winter, they stand in water up to their necks and meditate. Standing in water during severe cold is not very comfortable, but they voluntarily do it. In summer, they also ignite fires all around themselves and sit down in the midst of the blazes and meditate. These are examples of severe tapasya undertaken by many ascetics in India.
Ascetics.
Some tapasya is certainly ascetic.
Hare Krishna.
in
Thank you,
India.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Mataji, we have other devotees
Thank you,
also.
thank
We'll
you.
just read one paragraph. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you,
So
Mataji.
I would request
Thank you.
devotees to participate by reading. So thank you, Karpaguli Mataji. So here, we discussed this, right? Marshmallow experiment, right? So when we are willing to accept certain austerities for some higher gain, param drishtva nivartate, right? We are not going to say 90-90, I'm not going to take this, I'm not going to take this, I'm not artificially not going to renounce, right? But when we experience a higher taste, when we experience that higher taste of Krishna Prasadam, then automatically we'll be able to give up the taste of roadside pani puri, sev puri, bel puri, etc. Right? So param drishtva nivartate, that is the key. Right? So when we perform tapasya, but not just for the sake of doing tapasya, but for attaining something higher, right? In order to attain Krishna Prem, we have certain prescribed austerities that we have to do, right? Getting up early in the morning, chanting Hare Krishna, observing, fasting from grains and beans on Ekadashi days, and feasting on Harinam, try to chant more Hare Krishna Mahamantra rounds on those days, wonderful days like Ekadashi, then Janmashtami and Gaura Purnima and all of those days, Radhashtami, right? On such days, we voluntarily accept some austerity, right? Although we don't like to not eat palatable foodstuffs. Every day we eat palatable foodstuffs after offering to the Lord. But on certain days, as prescribed in the Shastras, we follow certain tapasya. We follow certain austerity for a higher purpose, right? So such kind of austerities that they do, right? Standing in the water up to their necks, and during severe cold, being naked, and or in summer they ignite fire around themselves, right? All of these tapasyas are meant for other kind of yogis, right? Who want Ashtanga yogis, or they stand on one leg and they stand and all that, right? All that is being done because they want to attain some kind of siddhi. They want to become bigger than the biggest, smaller than the smallest, etc., etc. But for bhakti yogis, right, Prabhupada has given a very, very wonderful process as given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What is that? Simply chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, follow the 4 regulative principles, observe wonderful days like Ekadashi, all of these wonderful appearance and disappearance days of our Vaishnava Acharyas prescribed in the Vaishnava calendar, and the appearance days of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like as Ramachandra, as as Lord Krishna, the Avatari, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Avatari, then Narsingha Chaturdashi. Then we have so many festivals, right? When you observe these days by fasting, and more importantly, feasting on chanting more, hearing more, etc., that tapasya will get us more taste. That tapasya will give us higher taste, by which we can practice these austerities better and easier. It makes so that is why we again we come back to the same example of this dog, as well as Radhanath Swami Maharaj. The more we make the correct choices, the more we act according to Guru Shastra Sadhu, the more easy it becomes for us to make the right choices. All right. Suprabha Sumitra Mataji, go ahead. Some tapasya is certainly required from there.
Hare Krishna Dhanapranam Mataji. Some tapasya is certainly required, without if one cannot advance in spiritual life or knowledge. If we simply engage in the animal propensities of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, not accepting the tapasya process, human life is a failure. If one wants to become an initiated member of our Krishna Consciousness Society, we first of all ask him to undergo tapasya. In the Western countries, especially, it is a great tapasya to give up illicit sex life, intoxication, meat eating, gambling. Although we require only these austerities, it is very difficult to observe them. In England, a wealthy aristocrat inquired from a Vaishnava god brother, Swamiji, can you make me a Brahmana? The Swamiji replied, yes, why not? You just have to observe these 4 principles: no illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating. Impossible. The Britishers replied, yes, it is impossible for in Europe or in America. Self-indulgence is the way of life from the very beginning. Indian gentlemen often come to the West to learn these indulgences, and they think themselves to be thus advancing. Indians are automatically taught tapasya through their Vedic culture, but they come to America to forget that culture and accept another type of life. The real fact is, however, that if one wants to advance in spiritual understanding and solve all the problems of life, he must accept the life of tapasya, austerity, and restriction.
Hare
Restriction
Krishna.
is
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah. So tapasya means to practice austerity for a higher purpose, right? Prabhupada has always been saying this, right? When Prabhupada was preaching in India, right, in Prayag, in Vrindavan, and then in Delhi, when Srila Prabhupada used to go to Delhi to print his Back to Godhead magazines, when he used to go around, actually writing the articles, printing it, and then he used to walk in the the hot summer afternoon, going around distributing this Back to Godhead magazines, right? And the first kind of Bhagavatam. In this way, nobody was interested in Krishna consciousness in India. That's why Prabhupada realized, right? I have to go to the West, right? He already got the instruction from a spiritual master. If and when you get money, print books in the English language, which Prabhupada was already doing, and then preach Krishna consciousness in the English language. So Prabhupada knew that, if he goes to the West and preaches Krishna consciousness, they will take up this process because you're not aware of Krishna. Whereas Indians, right, we think we know everything. So we need to unlearn a lot of things, right? The deals that we enter into with various demigods. I give you this, you give me this. I give you, one tenga, one coconut. You give me, visa to go to United States, right? So that I can go there and make my consciousness like that of an animal, right? So Prabhupada decided that I will go to the West and I will bring back, the people from the Western world who are practicing Krishna consciousness, who are following this, dharma. They're following this Sanatana Dharma. Then when they come and practice in India, then Indians will follow them, right? Indians will love to ape the Westerners, right? Whether it is a dressing style or whether it is the hairstyle or whether it is the living style, whatever it may be. Indians always like to ape the West. So that's why we see now, right, these Western dancing elephants, Prabhupada had brought from the Western world, right? They are, paving the way for us to follow Krishna consciousness. So this was Prabhupada's desire, and that was got manifested right now, right? We see His Holiness Jayapataka Swami, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Indradyumna Swami Maharaj, all of them, of course, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj and others, Lokanath Swami Maharaj, also in India also, right? But how did it all start, right? When Prabhupada brought his first set of dancing white elephants to India, that's when it all began. The process of Krishna consciousness began in India like that. And so that was what was Prabhupada's vision, right? When he knew that nobody was interested in India, so this was the method adopted by Srila Prabhupada, right? All right, Nisha Mataji, go ahead. The restriction is for human beings, not for animals. From there. Hare Krishna.
Pranam, Hare Krishna. Restriction is, thank you. Restriction is for human beings, not for animals. We encounter restrictions daily in our common dealings. We cannot drive a car on the left or run a red light without risking apprehension by the law. If a dog, however, walks on the left side of the street or crosses against a red light, it is not punished because it is an animal. The law therefore makes distinctions between human beings and animals because human beings supposedly have advanced consciousness. If we do not follow rules and regulations, we again lapse into animalization. Animalism. Apparently, propaganda is being made celebrating freedom as opposed to a regulated life, but one who sees things as they are can understand that freedom from all restriction is animal life. Therefore, Shukadeva Goswami recommends tapasya. If we want actual freedom from the problems of life, we have to accept a life of austerity. Bondage to material life is the only other alternative. What is tapasya? What is austerity? The first principle of austerity is brahmacharya, restricted sex life. The real meaning of brahmacharya is complete celibacy, and according to Vedic culture, in the beginning of life, one should strictly follow the regulations of brahmacharya. When he is grown up, the brahmachari can marry and become grahastha, and as a grahastha, he can have sex, but in the brahmacharya life, strict celibacy is the rule. In the present age, people have become degraded for want of tapasya because they are not taught how to execute tapasvi life. Criticism for its own sake will not do. One must be effectively trained in the life of tapasya.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Chatur Varnyam Maya Shrishtam Gunakarma Vibhagasha. Chatur Varnyam. The 4 Varnas and Ashramas have been established by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? According to Gunakarma Vibhagasha. Chatur Varnyam Maya Shrishtam. I have created these 4 Varnas. Chatur Varnyam Maya Shrishtam Gunakarma Vibhagasha. And that is according to the qualities and activities. That is not according to birth. Right? Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. And similarly, ashram, which is brahmachari, grahastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasi. Right? So first, Prabhupada explains in a lecture, first 25 years one has to practice brahmacharya, means complete celibacy. And then one can decide whether he wants to become an Aishtika brahmachari. This is for men. And then, the next 25 years, one may either continue his brahmacharya life and, finally become a sannyasi, or for women also, right? Celibacy is very important until 25 years. Training, right? What is the training, right? A woman always has to be under the protection of the father, then, the brother, or the son, like that it is mentioned, right? Because it is said that, women cannot really understand and go into depth of the various conclusions of Vedic scriptures. But when we see Prabhupada, right, Prabhupada clearly mentions that woman in this context does not refer to a devotee woman, right? Generally, women are less intelligent, but Prabhupada says that women who have taken up Krishna consciousness are very intelligent. So because we don't see, as a devotee, we don't see the, of course, while we follow that, Panchang Namaskar has to be done by ladies, and, this full Dandavat Pranams by Prabhus, like that, we follow rules and regulations, right? But we know that Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmanika Vihasi Shunisheva Chupakecha Pandita Samadarshinaha. We see that everybody is a spirit soul, right? And every spirit soul is trying to re-establish their connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in that way, there is no demarcation that, only certain people or only a certain gender can actually practice spiritual life. Prabhupada made it open. Prabhupada even gave Brahminical initiation to ladies, right? In this way, when we are properly situated in our varna or ashrama, right? The next 25 years we decide to become grahasthas, but we don't live a life of graha medhi. Graha medhi means we do what we like, right? 2 people come together and enjoy life, right? Try to enjoy, so-called, in this material world. That is a graha medhi. But when 2 people come together as a grahastha and keep Lord Krishna at the center of their life and perform their activities, swadharma, and have Krishna conscious children, right? Then Krishna says, I am the sex life, right? Which is done according to religious principles, right? And even Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, right? If I can make pure devotees, then I can have n number of Krishna conscious children, right? So in this way, he said, grahastha ashram is also, it is not that only brahmachari ashram or sannyas ashram we can go back home at the Godhead. Even a grahastha ashram, if we practice, all of us are grahasthas who joined this call today, right? So even in the grahastha ashram, when we practice the principles of Krishna consciousness, keep Lord Krishna in the center of the activities that we do, the whole family sit together, read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, right? Krishna book, like that, then what happens? The entire family then becomes Krishna conscious and can go back to Godhead, right? So as soon as Radhanath Maharaj, I believe he was mentioning, he was mentioning how 1 + 1 is 11 in the spiritual life. When we keep Krishna in the center, 1 + 1 is also 11. 1 - 1 is also 11. Right? In this way, when 2 people come together, they are complete people. They don't depend on each other for in order to give pleasure. Right? Somebody was saying, right, when somebody was asked, why do you want to get married? And that person says, I am so much depressed, when I want to get married so that I can become happy. Right? Such a person, when he enters into grahastha life, will never be happy. Right? Whereas a person who is satisfied, who's practicing the principles of Krishna consciousness, comes together with another such devotee, right? A man and woman come together to make their life perfect by Krishna consciousness, by helping each other in their sadhana, in their seva, etc. Keeping Lord Krishna at the center, grahasthas can also perfect their life. And then, after the 50th year, one takes vanaprastha and then sannyas. But Prabhupada also mentioned that Vanaprastha is not required. Then husband and wife are both Krishna conscious and practicing Krishna consciousness, right? Even within the four walls of the house, right? One can be detached, right? One can practice Krishna consciousness, right? As one progresses, right? In the Grahastha life, we do we do engage in sex for the purpose of having Krishna conscious children, right? But as we progress in our life, we know that we have to take Vanaprastha. Vanaprastha means although the husband and wife stay together, they stay together only to help each other in their sadhana, help each other in their seva. There is no concept of the so-called bodily attraction like that, right? And then in the sannyas life, right? Sannyas means you don't even see a woman, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He would not even allow a woman to see him also, right? He cannot come and take darshan also, although he was a munificent avatar. But however, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not make any distinction, right? He only taught yadyat acharati shreshtas tattat evitaro jana. Just by teaching what are the principles of sannyas, he did that. But he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is Krishna himself, who's come in the mode of Srimati Radharani, who's the mother of devotion, isn't it? So when we are practicing Krishna consciousness, all these bodily differences and other things, right? Although we have to practice rules and traditions as given in our shastras, we have to always keep in mind that whatever be our varna, whatever be our ashrama, if we are properly trained to execute our life in our particular varna and ashrama, we can go back home, back to Godhead, situated in our particular varna or ashrama. All right. Who else wants to read? Okay, let me continue reading. If anyone else wants to read, you may raise your hand. In the Vedas, we have about 119. Yeah, we have about 5 minutes. One person can read. Okay. Navkishori Mataji, I think both of you already read, isn't it? Okay, Navkishori Mataji, go ahead.
Yes, Mataji, I read.
Yeah, it's okay.
May I
Just read it.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
No, okay, Mataji, we'll ask Ritu Patna Mataji to read. Because she didn't get a chance to read. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Dandat Pranam. Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji, am I audible?
Yes, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. In the Vedas, it is said that those who execute a regulated life of tapasya are brahmanas. Itat aksharam gargi viditva sma lokat praiti sa brahmanah. Itat aksharam gargi aviditva sma lokat praiti sa karpanah. Everyone is dying, for no one can live here permanently. But one who dies after executing a life of tapasya is a brahmana, and one who dies like a cat or dog without executing tapasya is called a karpana. These two words are used frequently in Vedic literature, brahmana and kripana. Kripana means miser and brahmana refers to a liberal, broad-minded person. Brahma janatiti brahmanaha. One who knows the supreme, the absolute truth is Brahmana. But one who does not know is an animal. This is the difference between animal and man. Man, to deserve the name, must be educated to understand the absolute truth. Because human life is meant for knowledge, there are schools and colleges, philosophers and scientists, and mathematicians. The processes of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending need not to be taught, for they are learned instinctively. Human life is obviously meant for more. It is meant for tapasya and knowledge. May I read Mataji more?
Hare Krishna. No, Mataji, we'll end here. So we were talking about this, right? The dharma. Dharmo hi eko adhiko vishesho dharmena hinam pashubir samanam, right? So ahara nidra bhayam maitunam. Prabhupada is saying here, we don't need training for perfecting our eating, sleeping, mating, and defending process, right? That instinctively it happens. Right, when you take a stone, then when a dog sees, only the dog starts running. Right, we need not teach a dog or to train the dog that you have to run. When you're being attacked. Right, so defense or sex or how to eat or how to sleep. Right, we automatically go to sleep. Right, if you're not able to sleep for 2 days continuously, we automatically become like zombies. Right, automatically we will sleep at the first instance. Wherever we are, we just sleep. So we don't need an education how to sleep or how to eat or how to mate or how to defend ourselves. So real education is to develop this human consciousness. What is the human consciousness? Why am I born in this world? Who am I? Who is the Supreme Lord? What is my duty towards the Supreme Lord? What is the goal of this human form of life? What am I expected to do? right? Understanding this is dharma, right? The human dharma is to understand, inquire about the purpose of human form of life and attain that purpose, right? Dharmo hi eko adhiko vishesho. So this is the additional, this is the distinction point between an animal and a human being. Dharmo hi eko adhiko vishesho. Dharme nahina pashubhir samanam. If that inquiry is not there, then one is equal to an animal, right? So Prabhupada very beautifully mentions here, eating, sleeping, defending, mating comes instinctively. One need not go to a school, right? We go to school to learn mathematics, physics, chemistry, right? And Prabhupada mentions that for spiritual subject matters, we think we can do mental speculation and we will know the path to go back to Godhead. To understand material subjects, we need a teacher. We need somebody to explain those concepts to us so that we can practice it correctly, or we can study correctly, and then we can pass this material examination. But for then how much more is it necessary to have a guru, to serve that guru, so that we pass our spiritual examination, right? The entire life is a preparation and death is the examination. And in the death, how is the examination conducted? The examination is conducted at the time of death. What is our consciousness at the time of death? If you're able to think of Krishna, we go to the spiritual world. If you're thinking of all the sense gratificatory activities that we've done in this world, then we will according to our thoughts and desires and activities, we will acquire a material body, which need not necessarily be a human form. That is the greatest degradation, isn't it? Having got a human form of life, according to the choices we've made, we might either degrade ourselves into lower species of life or upgrade ourselves to go to heaven, right? Even that is not a very nice state to be in, right? Because Abrahma Bhavana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. An intelligent person does not even want to go to heaven planets, right? Or Tapaloka, Janaloka, Swarga Loka, Om Bhur Bhur Swaha, right? All the 14 planetary systems, right? Abrahma Bhavana Loka Punaravartino, right? We will like in the earth we create our karmas. Our positive karmas, we go and exhaust it in the higher planets, and then we fall down to the earth. And then whatever sinful activities we do, we go suffer the sinful reactions in the lower planets, right? Talatal, Rasatal, Patal, etc. And then we again come back to earth. So it is only in this earthly planet, in the human form of life that we have now, that we are fortunate to have now, that we can go back home, back to Godhead. If I go back to that supreme abode of the Goloka Vrindavan, I need not come back to this material world to chew the chewed, to do punas charvita charvana. I'm getting frustrated by chewing the same things and trying to, get some kind of juice. But I'm frustrated in my attempts to have enjoyment in this material life. So real enjoyment is to go back home, back to Godhead. And real human life is to understand this principle and to practice this principle. Janma sarthi kari kara paropakar. To follow it myself, perfect my life, and to help others perfect their lives. This is the sum and substance, or the essence of the human form of life. So we'll continue tomorrow. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gurudev ki jai, Ananta Koti Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So let's see who all we have today. We have our regular participants, Jyotsna Mataji, Ramya Mataji, Shobha Mataji, Nisha Mataji, Deval Mataji, Nita Mataji, Rituparna Bhattacharya Mataji, Sarva Gopeshwari Mataji, Suprabha Sumitra Mataji. It's like flashing, huh? This looks like all our demigods, just giving your darshan. Hari Bol. All right. Sudha Mataji, Nav Kishori Mataji, Anjana Mataji, Karpavali Mataji, and Shanta Mataji, and Asha Arya Mataji. Thank you very much for joining in. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindu bhyeva patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Transcendental Book Study ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Tatsatyari Shatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabho Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivastava Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Jaya Bala Gopal Jaya Bala Gopal Bala Gopal Jaya Bala Gopal Jaya Guru Parampara Jaya Guru Parampara Jaya Guru Parampara Jaya Guru Parampara Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Gurudev Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol कलयुग पतित पावन हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Srila Prabhupada ki